Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I love you and God loves you best. Hey babe, welcome back to my channel. We are back for another review of Love After Lockup Season 5 Episode 10, Exes and Oh No's. So let's just get right into it. We have Bianca and Danielle. And Daniel is released from the prison. And his family is there to greet him. And we got Bianca there. And she is ready. They take photos with the fam before they leave the prison. I mean, after all that time that she took at the apartment, you know, deciding what she was going to wear, that's what she came up with. So when they get in the car, Daniel immediately is like rubbing on her leg. And she was like, this the stanky leg. And I was like, production, y'all really gonna show us him touching on her coochie? But they did it, y'all. They wanted to show us Daniel touching on Bianca coochie. And she said, it's sweaty down there. You don't want to do that. Maybe she need to invest in some of that Lumi. And no, that was not sponsored, but maybe it'll work. Then she brings up talking about, well, what if I get pregnant? You know, you shoot up the club and then, you know, I get pregnant on the first night. You know, we gonna get married. And Daniel was like, I don't get down on the first night. He was like, no, he gonna strap up. I mean, that's not what he said, but that's what he should have been saying, because he don't need to be trying to make no babies. Now, if he wanna relapse and unalive himself real quick, that's the quickest way to do it, trying to bring a baby into the equation with this nut job. Because she don't know if she coming or going. He ain't got there yet. And she can't help keep herself together, so she can't help keep him together. And yeah, marriage and pregnancy does not need to be a part of the conversation. Then she like, oh, is you going to be going fast? Is you going to be like a 2-minute man? He's like, in prison, we call it the 2-pump chump. And then, you know, you drink some water and then you get back in again. Hey. So then she keep wanting to push proposals, and he like, yo no, lo siento, no hablo inglés. So then he said, let me call my PO so I could work out what my living arrangement gonna be, because, you know, they was talking about him going to the halfway house and he didn't want to do that. So he got a PO on the phone. He was like, oh, PO, you know, I'm here, I've arrived, they get released me, and I wanted to know if he was like, are you going to the facility? He was like, no, actually, I was wondering if I could be released to my fiance. And he was like, all right, well, come and see me in the morning and we can see if about getting that approved. And he was like, thank you, PO. So it was like, all right, cool. You following the plan so far. You following instructions. Good job. So then they meet the family at the restaurant. And the mom expresses her concerns emotionally about Bianca. And y'all notice how she went from Bianca to she and her. She was like, she doesn't understand that her actions could cause you major detriment in your sobriety and a setback. I just noticed that she just went from her name to pronouns. So Bianca still don't get it. And most importantly, what she don't realize is that Daniel, as he was expressing to his mother, in a nutshell, he is going to always be an addict. That's just it. He is always going to be an addict. Next, we move on to that would be Zaria and Troy. So we know where we left off at the last episode. So moving on to today, and Yana arrives, and she has baby Troy. And baby Troy and Papa Troy, they greet and they hug and they embrace, and it's a beautiful exchange, and it's a wonderful moment that they are making. And then they meet Z over where she was sitting. Troy takes little Troy over to meet Zaria. And then they open gifts. He said, you know, she brought me all these gifts. It was very emotional. And then Troy started going off on a little tangent, a little rant about, you know, your mama been telling you stuff about Zaria, but, you know, you don't have to do this. And Zaria, the conversation turned very adult to me. It turned very adult, and I was just like, no. You don't involve kids. Don't involve the children. So then Yana was over it. Yana was like, my daughter don't have to hug her if she don't want to. If she want to just shake her hand, that's all she got to do is shake her hand. Don't try and force my daughter to hug your wife. So Troy was going on this thing. He was like, you know, you could call her Mama Z, you could call her Miss Z, you could, you know, you don't have to, nobody's trying to force you to call her mom. And she was like, and then so Zaria was like, you know, it's nice to meet you. I've really been waiting to meet you for a long time, and I'm so happy to meet you. She was like, can I shake your hand? So she shook her hand. And so they was like, give her a hug, give her a hug. So she was like, I think she asked her, can I give you a hug or whatever? But the little girl gave her a hug. Children are so innocent. And so she gave her a hug. And so then Yana, like I said, Yana didn't like that because she felt like they was forcing that little girl to hug Zaria. And at this very moment, I felt like Karen was being fake. Because from the beginning, when we were introduced to Karen, she was presenting one side of us. So we didn't know what we were going to see of Yana. We didn't know what type of person we were going to meet. But now, fast forward to the present, and we meet an old girl, and now it seems like you singing her praises. And you like, oh, hey, Yana. How you doing, Yana? So, yeah, I think that's real side-eye-ish fake. Side-eye is eternal. With me, to you, you good for a kiki, but, yeah, miss me with that. Now, moving over to the car. Troy goes over to the car to talk to Yana, and Yana's like, oh, hey, can I have a hug? And so he hug her and he embrace her or whatever. And I'm like, you get it from your mama, don't you, Troy? Don't do nothing in that girl's absence that you wouldn't do in her presence. Just because she's sitting over here, don't go doing nothing that you wouldn't do in the front of her, because I don't feel like you would be doing that if she was standing right next to you. So I don't feel like you should do it if she not right there. That's just how I feel. Now, if you gonna tell me that you would still have given Yana a hug if Zaria was standing right there, then I'll say, okay, then you standing in yours 10 toes down. But I don't believe you would have, because she would have blew a gasket. And you know it, and I know it too. That's what held y'all up a whole 24 hours of getting to Buffalo. And you know that. So they hug each other. Yana explains to us that Troy was her first love. They broke up during her pregnancy with baby Troy, and that was devastating for her. So I was like, oh wow. She was like, but you know, they still try and keep a tight relationship. I was like, oh, okay. So then Troy, I'm sorry y'all, I'm real good with popping my tongue, but I'm gonna try and keep it to a minimum, okay? So Troy asked Yana about summer plans for baby Troy and how they gonna, you know, work that out, what's gonna be the schedule. he was like, well, I was figuring, you know, I could keep her for 1 or 2 weeks for the summer, and then, you know, she could go back here. She was like, whoa, 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 no, I don't think so. My daughter not staying with that lady. She don't know her. She a stranger. She might be your wife, but she a stranger. And I'm not leaving my daughter with no stranger. You see what you just had to deal with. You think I'm finna have my daughter dealing with these erratic outbursts? So she was like, no, baby steps. We gotta crawl before we walk, just like kids. So again, when Yana drives off, she was like, and Troy was like, cool, no problem. He was like, I don't want y'all forcing nothing on my daughter. I don't feel comfortable with it, and I don't want it. So when Troy gets back over there to Zaria, she was like, what was that all over there? Because she saw it. She saw the hugging and all of that. She was like, what was that? He was like, you know, I was just going along to get along. She was like, nah, I don't like it. And that's what I was telling you. You move real fugazi. And so she was like, you know what? I'm just trying to keep it cute for the sake of his homecoming and for the sake of baby Troy. And I don't want all eyes on me. So, and everybody, this reoccurring theme, all these men asking their women, you love me? You love me? Bitch, do you love them? Why don't you just say, I love you? You all asking them, you love me? You love me? And if I feel like you got to ask somebody, do you love them? You must be moving foul. You got to be moving foul. I show you I love you in my actions. So, you ain't got to ask me. Don't ask me. That's crazy. So they take photos, and then before they leave, they sit in the car, they say their goodbyes to the family and everything, and then Troy is sitting there professing his love once again to Zaria, patronizing her ass to make her feel good so that she don't blow up and probably wreck the car on their way back to Syracuse. Moving right along, we got Kim and Joey. So Joey said that the ex ruined relationships for him. That was a big red flag. If the ex ruined relationships for you, you sound like a scorned man. And if that's the case, you don't need to be in no relationship with Kim. And as far as Kim, you don't need to be going through with this because there is no trust. You living in regret right now, and you hurt. You just a big old ball of hurt. So the ex was a no-show to the park, and Joey leave. Joey was hurt. Joey was sad that the ex didn't show up. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, he was sad that the ex didn't show up. So then he get back to the house. So then he just walk in there. She asked him, where you been? He basically was like, don't worry about it. Let's just go and be happy. Let's just go have a good time at the engagement party. Bitch, how you expect me to have a good time at an engagement party when we got this lingering in the air? The fuck? So then she said, we not going together. She's like, no, we going in separate cars. I don't know, did he find the car tag thing in the car? Because I mean, she should have been able to see where he went if she wanted to know where he went. So I'm wondering, did he find it? And then something that she said, I forgot, but pretty much I feel like Kim is sticking it out because of what she has financially invested in Joey. And she is just hoping that something positive yields from her investment and it's not a sunk cost. And those are words of finance. Okay. Now we got both at the party. We got everybody at the party. Everybody show up. Festivities. It's very nice. It's very nicely decorated. They got nice what you call it, refreshments and everything, and it just looks very nice and well prepared for a nice little engagement party. So I was like, okay, if she paid for this, she is paying for a lot of stuff that she don't need to. And I remember Kim telling us that she got paid $15 an hour. You got that house that you renting, I'm sure. Then you got your boys that you are financially responsible for. Then he just bought $2,200 rims. Then you planning for a wedding. Then you just did an engagement party. Then, like, and you doing all of this off of $15 an hour. I hope we don't hear nothing about you doing nothing illegal soon, Kim. I hope you all on the up and up, okay? Because I don't want to hear nothing about you doing nothing wrong. Because I don't see how you doing all of this on $15 an hour unless you got a side gig or something. So they both talking to other people at the party about their issues. Then Tatum, which is Kim's cousin, Joey's ex, shows up. Now, let's put this into context. It's not Joey's ex from 2 years ago. It's not Joey's ex from 5 years ago. It's not even Joey's ex from 10 years ago. It's Joey's ex from high school, okay? We're talking about 20 years ago that Tatum, Kim's cousin, used to mess with Joey. Childhood stuff, okay? But she talking about it like they were promised each other and they were married or going to get married, and she's like, once a cheater, always a cheater. I mean, I'm not going to hold a teenage child accountable and say that that sets the tone for how they deal with adult relationships. We all did stuff as children. We were children. Some relationships we took more serious than others, but at the end of the day, it was growing pains and we were children. And I'm sure most of us are not with those people. There are some people that are with their high school sweethearts or high school crushes, high school first loves, high school on and offs, you know. Some of those actually did surpass, you know, the stereotypical time frame of just a memory. But Tatum is really in her feelings, and she's like, no, you know, he did something outside and it really bothered me. It affected me. Don't touch me. Can we go in the back and talk? And I was like, oh girl, she is bothered. And Kim was like, at my engagement party, you want to do this? She was like, I gotta tell you what he did. She's like, what did he do? She said, he whistled at me. She said, he whistled at you? She said, yes, he whistled at me. She said, well, how exactly did he whistle at you? Now, let me see if I can get it out. Ooh, let's see if I can get it out. Okay. He whistled at me like this. I got it out. Okay. I missed my, I made my note. So, she was like, okay. And I don't want to say this. I really don't want to say this because there is no reason for her to feel this way. I don't want to feel like Tatum wants to be in Kim's shoes. Tatum, I know right now you don't wish you were Kim. I know right now you don't wish you were Kim, Tatum. Because if you do, get that thought out your head. Just abracadabra. Just remove it. Yeah. So she said he whistled at her. She didn't like it. She is, like I said, bringing high school memories into adulthood, and it makes me wonder. Things that make you go, And so now we got Joey questioning, and Kim didn't even pick up on it. He questioning her in a slick way, talking about what y'all over here talking about, when she over there in the engagement talking to her friends and her girlfriends. It's he got her up. Don't grab me up around my neck. Don't like this, like how he had her around the neck like this. Don't grab me up around my neck like that. Don't do that. That is an aggressive. That's a passive aggressive hold, and people want to pass it off like it's affection. There is nothing affectionate about holding somebody like that. Don't hold me like that, because that could easily, quickly turn into a chokehold. Don't touch me like that. So she over there talking to her loved ones. He like, what y'all over here talking about? She over there actually gonna spill the tea, talking about, well, Tatum said that you whistled at her, and he was like, well, do you believe that? Instead of saying, I didn't whistle at her, well, do you believe that I whistled at her? You see how he always asking a question instead of just, I didn't do it, a statement. No. That's what I'm saying. You gotta look at these, watch these little things, listen to these little things. And she doesn't pay attention. And she don't call him on it. Because if she called him on it, I guarantee you, he would go into a tizzy. And if he went into a tizzy, that's all you need to know. Soon as he, well, why you did it? That's all you need to know, Kim. And pull out. Pull out faster than a man who can't. The end. Pull out faster than a man who can't. Period. So yeah, you allow Joey all of these conveniences to mind fuck you, and you let him get away with it. And I don't even know what the viewer is supposed to lend to you, because it's definitely not sympathy or empathy. I guess it's just pity. No, I can't. I guess I pity you. And one of the girlfriends or something finally said, we over here talking girl talk, and here he goes again talking with the "you love me, right?" And then he wanted in the confessional embarrass the cousin, talking about, I don't know why she would say that I whistled at her or I did whatever, because maybe it's because I was her first, or maybe. Now, why are you talking up under that lady clothes like that? That is so uncouth. That is not being a gentleman. That shows me that you have no respect for women. You don't have respect for her. And if you would do that to Kim, Kim, if he'll do that to your cousin, he'll do it to you. That right there is an indicator. If he'll do that to your cousin, he'll do that to you. And he has shown you how he gonna treat you when it came to the ex. Because he wasn't defending you, he was defending the ex. Just put that out there. Moving right along, we have Troy and Shantae. So they arrive at Pepper's house, and neither Shantae or Pepper are pleasant nor cordial. And so the producers asked Troy, Lord forgive me, the producers asked True what he is going to do for employment, since he can't be hitting up the casino as far as talking about that's his work. He said he got other gigs lined up. Now, unless these other gigs is him slanging dick, what are the other gigs? I don't know. But I guess at this point, Shantae and True supposed to be back together. Okay. So then, next thing we know, Shantae on the phone with her best friend, Janiyah. And then we find out that True cheated. He told her. And then she calling Pepper House the crack house. And she was actually telling people that she was married just to throw them off on her busted ass relationship. You rather tell people you married to this bum rather than just be the single that you are? Girl, miss me with that. So she said he left some stuff in her car or whatever, and she was driving it back over there. She drove back to the Cape from Independence to drop his stuff off. It was a little bitty, like, Quickie Mart, Walmart bag size type stuff. And she drove it back over to the crack house. And True was standing on the balcony on the thing, laughing, like smiling, like, Shantae, you know you ain't going nowhere. You know you ain't leaving. And he meant that from the bottom of his heart, because that's how he feel about her. She knows she ain't going nowhere. So then she was like, my nigga deuces. So he was like, all right, so if you leave this time and you're not going to even leave with a proper goodbye. I was like, proper goodbye? Anyway, so his phone ring, he ignores it. She's like, who is that? He like, it ain't nobody. So he on his gaslighting tip again. He got the match out in the lighter fluid. And so, basically in this case, it was the same ending with a different location. And this time, Janiyah was on the phone to hear it, okay? And both of them is codependent, because he said it. He was like, she need me just like I need her. I'm not going nowhere and she not going nowhere. He said that. So they are codependent. And then people started asking him questions. Then producers started asking him questions by his other hoes. And before we know it, that hot seat got him. And he was like, you know what? I ain't got to be up in here. I'm out. I'm out. So now we know that one, True is no longer on house arrest, and unfortunately, condolences, Shantae lost the twins. So yeah, that's what happened with that. Then we got Arthur and Hope real quick, back at dinner with the fam, and Hope's sisters, they're cheering to the hot seat. They just seem like the Wicked Sisters. Even though a lot of stuff they were saying was true, it was like the delivery, it just was like real insulting. Like, you can give valid, solid advice, but sometimes you can deliver things condescending, you can deliver things lovingly, you can deliver things insultingly, you can deliver things with hate, you can deliver things with, there's all types of delivery. You can deliver things with fear. There are all types of delivery, and their delivery was condescending and insulting. Two things can be true at the same time. Doesn't mean that the information that they were providing was wrong. It was just how they were providing it. The delivery was totally off, and I didn't think it was right, and it was very emasculating. So there was only one thing that Pop was really concerned about. Pop, which was the grandfather, he wanted to know, are you affiliated with the gang? And I probably, because of that, on Arthur's forehead. So he wanted to know, are you affiliated with the gang? And Arthur assured Pop, no sir, I am not. And he was like, cool. So when they get outside, Arthur was like, I thought you was going to have my back more than that. She was like, look, it wasn't my place to speak for you. He was like, I didn't say speak for me, but I thought you would have set me up a little better than that, to have it go a little better than this. And she was like, those weren't my intentions, and I see where you're coming from, and things should go better, moving forward in our future. He was like, well, I do want us to be together. We not engaged, but you are my girlfriend. She was like, so we not engaged no more? He was like, no. So yeah, you've been demoted. Let me tell you something. Love does not hurt. Love is kind. Love is unselfish. Love is patient. And y'all don't display none of that energy, okay? And Arthur said he was never going back to prison. All I can say is never say never, because he was recently arrested back in May. Fast forward, he has been released because it was on some junk. Because Hope went to say that, he pum-hummed her in the stomach. He was like, I ain't do that. So he cleared his name. Come to find out, she pum-hummed herself in the stomach. Who would do that? Like, why would you do that? Like, I know now you are something. You are something else. You are something else to do that to yourself. I mean, it's one thing to take a sock of oranges and stuff, or a sock, but a gun, no, a firearm, I decline and I rebuke it. I bind it in the name. Lastly, we got Christine and Julian. Oh, this was so embarrassing. I didn't get secondhand embarrassment, but I was, and I felt bad for her. So we got Julian arrives at the stand-up. Okay. Christine is bombing. She is bombing bad. Instead of this sounding like a stand-up comedy set, it sounds more like around a circle sharing session at a NAAA meeting. That's what it sounds like. And then there's a heckler in the audience that's just giving her the business. She started irking and jerking again, and she, that jaw get unhinged and it's starting to swing, and now she's like getting all flustered. Oh my gosh, she on stage and she just talking. Now she's getting all self-loathing, and she talking shit about her own self. And she started crying, and it's like, oh my goodness. And she realizes that this comedy thing is not as easy as she thought it would be, because a couple of people told you was funny, and you told a couple of knock jokes. She unmiked herself. She was like, I'm leaving. She was having, those were prison delusions of grandeur. So she was like, I'm leaving. But I'm glad that Julian was there, even though he knew that he told her that was gonna happen. But I'm glad that he was there to be there by her side when it did fall apart for her. Then he kept telling her how funny she really is, and I'm like, look, don't be counterproductive and lie to her and tell her that she's funny when she now realizes that she's not. But she knows the truth now, so just let it be. But no. You're going to keep telling her that she's funny. She's funny. So then when they get to the house, she's like talking about the heckler. She's like, I want to prison up on him. And I'm like, oh girl, what that mean? And if it's something like bossing up, why didn't you? Let him know that you about that life. Girl, bye. So then she says she's not discouraged on her comedy journey. She's just going to hone her skills a little more. Then we find out that Julian's still looking for work. Christine gives stand up a second shot. We don't know how it went, but she did. And then she finally meets Jay's dad via FaceTime, but she still hasn't met Julian's children. And she's 38 and he's 46. So he's 8 years her senior, but she looks 12 years his senior. It's a whole mess in her face. That's all I got to say about that. Also, back to Shantae. I know I'm sitting here, but she's like this when she talks. Did y'all notice that? It was very disturbing to me. And then lastly, they put in that little blurb about Letitia and Keith. All we need to know is, like I said, Keith got released. He got released a few days ago. And now Tisha is facing 5 years. She moved out of that place. Now I'm wondering, was she really evicted because somebody wasn't paying their stuff, or because she just wasn't paying? Nevertheless, she facing 5 years for some stuff. I told y'all last time she was moving foul, and I wasn't sending up no prayers for nobody that was moving foul. So now we know what the tea is with Tisha. Kim and Joey, she blocked the ex on the phone, and they still moving forward with the wedding. And the fact that you had to block the ex on the phone, Kim, is indicative of what your future is going to be with Mr. Joey. And we're going to see them on this season of Life After Lockup, as well as we're going to see Zaria and Troy. They're planning to do a redo with their wedding and their family and friends, and they're even going to include Miss Karen. I thought that was shady, but oh well. That's his mama, and unless he ain't done with his mama, you can't be done with his mama. And then we're also going to see Bianca and Daniel on this season of Life After Lockup, and we're going to see how that journey unfolds. I am a little nervous to see what happens because I have concerns for Bianca. Not that, like, she's fragile. She's very fragile, and I just don't know what's to come, but we definitely will find out. Thank you so much for watching this review. Please drop down in the comment sections. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you think of the couples. Let me know what you think is to come for next season with Life After Lockup and the couples that we're going to revisit again. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time,